Welcome to another episode of What the Effie with Raz. And today we have as our guest Mundo Sanchez.
Hey,
Mundo
how's it going?
Sanchez is a god in our world. So we want to say thank you. Thank you
Thank you
for
for
being
having
here.
me. It's an honor. I've been wanting to be on this show for a while, so I admire the work that you put in here, and it's incredibly hard to grow a YouTube channel. So the fact that just got started, kind of like just like I did, just you know listen to pace and started taking action. So I love the channel. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It does require persistence, and it helps to have an awesome person like Raz as my
Just a
partner in
co-host
crime.
advisor
Yeah,
here.
You
yeah,
bet. You bet. All right. So I'm going to, for those of you who might not know Mundo, I'm going to say that why don't you start us off, Raz, and tell us a little bit about him?
Well, I'm actually going to pass it on to him to tell us more about himself. But just
yeah.
as a teaser, I know that Mundo is a finance whiz. He has great experience working at in several different industries, and one of the achievements that he's unlocked for himself and for his company is to be on the Inc. 5000 and the words. You know, stay around if you want to hear more about that. And I think he's going to tell us a bit about how you can win an amazing stay at the property in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee as well. So that's kind
Yes,
of
we can get into that.
Yes.
Got a
Yes.
two
I like
day
that.
2 day free challenge for people.
All
all
right.
right.
Leave
All
your
right.
credit card at home.
Okay, guys. Tangible value add. And we're also going to find out a little bit about how this clean cut, nice looking dude turned into a freaking gangster. So let's jump in with that right at the beginning. You have been branding yourself in a couple of different ways recently, and one of them is as an underwriting gangsta. And I'm like, what the heck? Tell
Yeah.
me, what made you decide that real estate needed to be fun and open to gangsters? And when did you become one?
Well, I wanted to find a way to incorporate doing stuff with my kids. I work a lot and I love what I do. I would love to spend more time with my kids, and I kind of want to just have them grow up being comfortable on camera. I was never comfortable being on camera up until Pace, pushed me to be on camera probably like 2 years ago, I would say. Terrified of speaking, honestly. And I just wanted my kids to not have that fear for, let's say, I just turned 36, so I had that fear for 34 years, and I just didn't want it to be that way. And so I thought it'd be cool to incorporate my kids into my YouTube channel. And so what we do is we underwrite properties, and we have a little bit of a gangster theme in terms of, we're wearing backwards hats and just doing cool, funny stuff. I'm usually somewhat pretty serious and staying on topic. And that's part of what makes it funny, because my kids are just being kids. They're 4.5, 3 years old, just like running around doing crazy, saying silly stuff. And I'm trying to like stay in character, like talking about the deal, and that's the whole like dynamic of it, and it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. When I said, "What's he doing?" and I went in and I saw those little cutie pies, I was like, "Oh my god, it's just the perfect gangsters, the only ones you'd want in your
Yeah,
house." And I love the way that you also play off of their age. You know, how you talk about even a 5-year-old can underwrite
yeah,
$1 million deal. And I'm like, okay, I could justify that. Let me see, how does it work?
yeah.
So you've also said that you could underwrite a property in a very quick time because you're using AI now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, the first couple episodes on our podcast, we just started with just a spreadsheet, and even that spreadsheet has transformed over the past couple years. It's gone through many iterations to get to where it was at, and then I started building it in a software. I have a little bit of a software background, so I was able to kind of deploy that. And now it becomes a lot easier with the software that we're using to underwrite deals. So now on future podcast episodes, now we're starting to incorporate that. And so there'll be a further play on like how easy it is to underwrite with my kids just pushing buttons. Now, you do have to put in some basic information, obviously. It can't just transform from your brain into the computer, but I put in the information, they click the button, and they have fun with it. They enjoy buying properties, looking at properties. They're always talking about buying properties, which is not normal for any kid.
Yeah, well, they're gangsters. What do you expect?
Sometimes their concept of how easy it is to buy a property is not necessarily reality, but I love the fact that they're already thinking that way.
Yeah, but you know, several things there to unpack. First, you have like a QA team that is built in, right? Because you want to make it easy for your users for any kind of software product that you build. So, you know,
Yeah.
if you're making it easy enough for a 5-year-old to use, then you have that covered, the usability aspect of it. And the second
Yeah.
aspect is that it can give you ideas as well, right? And I think I saw on one of your materials that you posted on social media how you can actually interact with voice with your tool, right? So like this is the purchase price, it's $300,000, and then the tool is able to fill it out, right? This is something that the kid could do without having to type,
That is true,
right?
assuming the system could understand the kids' gibberish. But
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
I'm testing a whole bunch of stuff. Honestly, I'm just looking to build stuff kind of somewhat selfishly for myself to help me like grow and scale my portfolio. And naturally, that's just going to help other people. So it's a little different. I'm not just building software and sometimes if you think about other industries and other softwares, you have a team of developers that are building a product that they're not even a user of. So there's just a
Yeah,
huge disconnect between the technical development team and like the
and the
actual
user experience.
users. Usually you have a business person in the middle, right? And they're translating the needs from the user to the development team. And it's kind of a person who has the business sense and they're also a hybrid, tech background, but still a lot of stuff gets lost in translation. And I'm literally just building for myself and obviously listening to other people and what they want. But if it works for me, I know it can work for a lot of other people. And I have other AI that I've been working on too, where it's just crazy what AI is doing these days. So lately, what I have integrated is, legit being able to press a button and essentially have an AI agent make a phone call for you and have a fluid conversation but understand the deal terms, not just have an appointment setter conversation, but like actually know the deal because it's pulling from the API of the system. And it's crazy. I never thought AI would be where it's at today, a few years ago. Even when I was getting my master's degree in software development, I was down to my last semester and I couldn't pass the course. So I actually had to drop out of the course right before the deadline because you can drop without like failing. And I was just like, dude, there's no way I'm finishing this class. It was super technical and I dropped it and I was terrified of continuing. So I took a 2-year break. I came back 2 years later because I was just randomly looking online and checking out courses. And I didn't realize that the courses sometimes are only offered once a year. So I looked at the
Or
semester
even once
course.
every 2 years
Yeah.
sometimes.
And I was looking at it and it was a core like requisite class. I was like, oh, shoot. If I don't take this class now, I won't be able to graduate because there was like I think there was like a 5-year term limit or something like that. And I basically was out of time. So I was like, all right, well, I'm signing up for this class. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out and just get it done. And luckily, ChatGPT was now involved and the class actually focused that same class. They changed the curriculum and it was all ChatGPT. You could not use anything but ChatGPT to generate code for the actual class. And that
Wow.
was just a godsend for me because I was like, oh, dude, I can do this. Like, this is something I can do. And it was cool because a lot of times in college, they're not really practical, real life courses. And it was cool to see that specific course was actually incorporating real life because that's what development is now. It is using AI to develop. And if you're not using AI, and you're just sitting there coding, I mean, you are at a significant disadvantage.
Right,
So
right.
that was
And it
really
doesn't
cool. And
only
I was,
apply to coders, right? It applies to everything else. If you are not
yeah. Oh, yeah.
using and leveraging AI,
Absolutely.
then you're already
Absolutely. So
behind.
ChatGPT gave me a master's degree. There you go.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I have to say that that truly is a gangster move.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm glad to see that. Very glad to see it. So, touching again on just the gangster thing, I just
Yeah.
want to know out of all, you've done a fair number of deals. Which is the biggest deal that you walked away from? What did your gangster instincts tell you? Why did it tell you to run?
Biggest deal I walked away from in terms of like dollar amounts or
It could be effort, it could be dollars, which is the one deal that you're like, man, am I lucky I didn't go into that one? I'm glad I listened to the little hairs on the back of my neck or the little gangsters that I have running around here.
that's a good question. I walk away from deals all the time. And I kind of gotten to the point where I remove the emotion from it because I've had so much emotion in it, which is key. I've made every mistake you can think of. I've gotten my face bashed in on every repair you can think of. No matter what your spreadsheet tells you, it's going to be wrong. Like your cash flow is not going to be the cash flow you thought it was going to be. And it's just expensive. Real estate is expensive. So just brace in for having a very expensive long ride to maintain the property. And obviously, you don't have to have a pity party for me. Like there is upside appreciation. Obviously that's how people build a lot of wealth, but it's a very, very long term game. And during that time where you're in it and operating it, you're going to take a few beatings. And if you're not prepared for that, it's going to hurt. And I think one of the deals that comes to mind is it was about an hour away from my house and it was considered a lake house. Very, very reasonably affordable deal. They were willing to do a Morby method, so they were willing to do seller financing. And I was really excited. Like I vision casted myself into that property, my family being able to drive there on the weekends and hang out. And I was going to do Airbnb. It wasn't really the best deal in terms of entry fee. So I would have had to put a lot more money into it. It was not going to be one of those get paid at closing deals. I was definitely going to have to sink money into it and leave it in there for a long period of time. The numbers just didn't really pencil out in terms of like cash on cash and looking at that kind of stuff from an investment perspective. But I saw more of the emotional of like having like a little family compound, right, on a lake house, right? And the inspection came back and well, actually, I got it under contract. So going back a few steps, I got it under contract and I had buyer's remorse like after that. Cause then the
Right then.
investment side kicked in. I was like, man, this is just not a good investment. Like from like a pure like financial play.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, it'd be a beautiful second home, but I'm not really like, to me, having that kind of concept of like, I'm going to have second homes and I don't care if it's 10% occupied. Like that's later down the road. Like that's
Right,
not the period of life I'm in right now. Like I'm
right.
grinding, right?
Yeah, those little gangsters
And
are little.
yeah, they're little, they got mouths to feed. They're hungry. And so I got under contract and I was like, man, I really don't want this deal anymore. And I was like, all right, well, I committed to it. So we're doing it. And the seller didn't sign the contract. And I was waiting for the contract to expire because I gave him like 3 days and I gave him till like, I don't know what the time was. Let's just call it 11 a.m. And I didn't specify the time zone.
Oh, no.
And so the guy signs it. He was like a 2 hour difference. He signs it past my time zone of 11 a.m., but not past his time zone of 11 a.m.
Oh my gosh,
And
the finer
I was
details
just
of
like,
real estate.
man, like, do I really want to go to war over this thing? And on this time zone issue because it would turn into a war, right? And I decided, you know what, I'm not going to fight this. That's a pretty like if you're trying to back out of a deal, like that's the way to do it. But like I don't know, I just if I committed to something, I'm going to do it. And so I went forward to the deal. I was like, all right, we're just doing it. Maybe that was a sign, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. We're still moving forward. And then I got the inspection back, and it was basically horrific in terms of the hack job that the contractor did. It didn't even have a foundation. Like it was
What?
just it. Yeah, because it was a lake house. So it was kind of propped up on beams and
Okay.
it was just not secure whatsoever. And they basically said that it looked like someone converted like a fishing boat house into a real house. And it was just a disaster. And so the city, they actually came in after the appraiser came in and because he was calling the city and he was asking them some questions. I don't know why, but probably because of the condition of the repairs, the city actually shut the property down. They're like, this property can't be sold
Oh,
because
yeah,
of
for
the
once.
issues. So obviously the lender told me, hey, we're not gonna finance this. Like I was so that I canceled the contract and I was just like relieved, but I was also sad because I saw myself at that property. But that's just one story that comes to mind on, that was especially in the early days. Now it's like, again, I've removed the emotion. I've already gone through war and I've already gotten the scars to prove it. And I can see the writing on the wall even before the pen starts writing sometime. When they get the pen out of their pocket, I can see it. And I'm just
How
like, nope.
fast are they taking that pen out? Well, you really did dodge a bullet there. If the
Yeah.
inspector
Yeah.
had not been a good one, then you would have been stuck with a real money pit.
Yep. Yeah. So I
Interesting.
backed out of that, I was forced to back out of that. And, there's been a lot of deals along the way that I've said no to that in the beginning I probably would have said yes. And even the ones I said yes to in the beginning, I look back on them now and I'm just like, why did you do that? Like just, I have,
Don't we
I
all?
have, well, yeah, I have several properties that I'm just like, dude, every month I'm reminded how much of an idiot I am
When you
on
have to
some
pay the mortgage,
properties.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually on the first of the month,
Yep. Yep. There's a learning
but
curve, and it
yeah.
isn't like you're just born into the top of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I had a quick question for you, Mundo, because you
Yeah.
did mention a term there that I know that several of, people watching What the Effie are probably familiar with this if they're part of our communities. But I'm also interested in it from the perspective of how you present it. I'm talking about the Morby method. Would you mind
Yeah.
just giving a brief intro on what that is and how that is structured? I know other people might know it under other names, but just if you can talk about the concept.
Yeah, no, it's a creative finance strategy that's actually really powerful. And it's basically a form of seller financing where the seller is willing to do seller financing, but they want a large down payment a lot of times. And that kind of goes against the mantra of creative finance because everyone's looking to get into deals for, less than 10% entry. And the Morby method has a different strategy where you're getting into deals with a 50% entry or a 60% entry because the seller wants a large down payment. And, at first glance, you may think, wait, why the heck would I want to do a 50% down payment, 60% down payment? Well, you actually go and get that down payment from a DSCR lender. So from a overall debt structure perspective, it's a really great strategy to get into a deal with, little money down, no money down. Sometimes, depending on how you structure, you can even get paid at closing and you can put that into reserves or do whatever for the property. So it's a really, really powerful creative finance strategy, but it is very, very complicated. A lot of moving pieces involved, and definitely would not do that unless you know what you're doing or a partner with someone that knows what they're doing, because you can make a lot of mistakes on that type of transaction.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
I would say that the analogy might be that it is not for undergrads.
Correct.
It
Yes.
really is more of a master's or high master's PhD. So if
Yep.
you're looking to enter real estate, do not think about Morby methods, stack methods, seller carrybacks. They're all the same thing, but don't do it. You got to go
Yeah.
get your bachelor's first. Let's see you get past this first semester.
And
Okay.
ChatGPT won't save you on this one like it saved me. It won't. It's going to require a lot more.
That's right. Now you can
Yeah.
always partner with people who have, really good experience and who can teach you. I think maybe Raz, you want to bring up the next point we'd like to talk to Mundo about?
Yeah, absolutely. But before that, I just wanted to add to that sometimes capital partners can help guide in this transaction. If you are newer, Effie and I actually recently talked to someone who was getting into their first Morby method, and it was a pretty complex one. But yeah, also a small plug for us, for Sunrise Capital Partners. We do fund Morby methods from the down payment perspective. Yeah, with that, Mundo, tell us a little bit about the underwriting challenge. I know that you are a creative finance expert, you have background in finance, you obviously know how to underwrite in 5 minutes or less with or without AI tools. That's awesome. Tell us a bit about the underwriting challenge. What is this about? What would people get from participating? Tell us about the award and yeah, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank
And
you.
I'm going to stop him just before he does
Yeah.
because I feel we should have a disclaimer in here. Guys, just so that you know, Mundo is one of the people that we have learned from. We are all part of the same community, but Mundo has started to teach in a big way because he has so much experience. And Raz and I were both at his mastermind, at his first mastermind, I think, right? Was that your first
Yep.
mastermind?
Yep. No, I very
Yeah.
much appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that
So
was a
it's a
lot of fun.
How
plug
do
more
we?
than it is a disclosure, but I feel we should say it at this point.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, as far as the free 2-day challenge, completely free, doesn't cost any money. And I'm actually going live for 34 plus hours. So I did a underwriting challenge a couple months ago and I went live for 33 hours. And I really did that to beat Pace's record. I'm always trying to find ways to give value to Pace or, do anything I can for Pace. And I've tried this a couple times and I've just come to know that he's just not that competitive in terms of like trying to get like fired up. Like, cause I have a lot of friends that's like, you get that camaraderie, you get that, juices flowing and you kind of lift each other up. Like Pace is just not that way. Either that or he just sees me as he's here and I'm here. So it's not a competition.
Like we're
Maybe
competing in
it's
different
both.
leagues. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe it's both. But Pace is definitely more of an activator, right? He likes to bring people along. And so my understanding of his longest live was 31 hours. So I wanted to beat that. Well, I asked him after I did the 33-hour live what it was, and he said it was 27 hours. So he actually had a 31-hour live schedule, but he didn't actually do it. I guess he canceled it, but he did a 27.5 hour live, I think. And I was like, dang it, I went live for too long. so that was my personal record. And I enjoy doing challenges like that because it pushes me outside my comfort zone. It gives me so much more confidence to do other things. So since I've done that 33-hour live, there's been a lot of high stress moments that I've had from just sheer amount of workload on just on my plate, just all good things. And it can get really overwhelming at times. And when I'm able to draw upon that experience, like, dude, I've gone live for 33 hours straight working, like not just chilling, watching a movie, like straight working, using my brain for 33 hours, right? I can remember that experience and draw confidence from that. And I'm like, okay, if I can do that, I can clearly do anything. So if I have a deadline, I'm just going to grind it out until I get it done. And if that means I go to sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., it does not matter because I've already proven I can go all day, all night, all morning. And so for me, that was an incredible benefit of doing that. But for the 2-day challenge specifically, I'll be going live for 34 hours straight at least. I'll see how far I can push it. And I'm going to be doing a main feature underwriting for an hour on day one. So if people want to plug in for an hour, that'll be kind of like the main event. But if people want to watch for the whole 34 hours, they can watch whatever they want, right? And then on day two, we're going to be pitching to actual buyers. So we're going to underwrite some deals. And then we're going to pitch to buyers and they're going to give feedback, kind of like a Shark Tank style type of event where buyers are giving feedback to people submitting deals and really just help solidify learning through that. And the winner, so the first person to get a deal under contract, I think I'll have to look at the rules. I think I'm giving till like January 15th, something like that, to get it under contract. Just because obviously you can't just like underwrite a deal, get it under contract like it in a day. Like you got to be realistic, right? So give people a chance to really kind of participate, underwrite, find deals, negotiate, pitch deals, get it under contract, all that stuff. And the first one that does will get a free vacation to my Pigeon Forge property, which is on, you all have both been there. It's beautiful property, assuming the door handle works, which I think it does now while we
It's
were
a
there.
beautiful place. And as long as it's not Raz who's trying to open the doors, I'm sure that they will work.
Yeah, when they were
I love
when
that
they were
picture I
there,
have of
the
him holding the
door
door.
handle flew off there, but we've since got that fixed. But beautiful property on a mountaintop view. It's just gorgeous. So I'm
It is
having,
beautiful.
the winner gets a free 3-day vacation there. And not only the winner, so both wholesaler, both buyer, but also the person that referred them. So if someone referred the winner of either side, they get that same prize too. And then
Wow.
I have like a secondary prize and a third winner prize that's more on just like free access to the software that we're using. I
So
think
do they all
for
have to go together if they win, like the referred, the
no,
wholesaler, and
no,
the
no.
buyer?
Separate. That would actually be a cool follow-up challenge. You have to get a second deal under contract or you can't leave the property.
Good. I love it. Wow.
But yeah, lots of cool prizes given away
I'm not sure
there.
that has the right incentives, but okay, like for you.
I know they'll just never leave. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. They would want to stay. I think it's an incredible thing. So you're if I understand correctly, you're putting together people who want to learn how to underwrite and you're bringing people, they could be buyers or they could be wholesalers, correct?
Yeah. So buyers, I mean, you could technically act as the buyer connector, I guess. If you're a wholesaler, it's like, hey, I know the buyer for this deal. It's really about wholesalers and buyers getting together and getting deals under contract and kind of learning the process along the way. So it's going to be a lot of education. And again, I'm going to be educating for, 34+ hours, right? And being able to bring buyers and send deals to buyers. Like I'm going to be bringing in a lot of my friends and they're going to want deals. So I know I just between a couple friends I have they have over 2,000 doors, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly. You
Yeah, I think
guys
Effie might want to
come on
buy a
in.
property or two. So
At
Love
least,
it.
see you
There
on the
you go.
wire.
Yeah, you come on in on day 2 and then we'll get you get some deals sent to you and you can give feedback and
cool.
lock some deals under contract.
Yeah,
I
and
love it.
if anyone is actually buying and wants to fund them, Sunrise Capital Partners.
Again, we can do we're off camera on that because they're so slim. But yep, yes, we can absolutely fund. So there's that part too. How are you addressing that part? Are you expecting the buyers to bring in their own transactional funders, or talk about that part a little bit, just because we're interested in that?
Yeah. So the software we're using for the challenge, it's completely free for people to participate in the challenge with the software. So there's no need to pay anything. It is legit free challenge that people can actually potentially earn a vacation. And we actually have a resources tab in when you're underwriting deals, and it will tell you people that are transactional funders, people that are TC. So you could have all your resources literally for your deal right there because we not only have buy boxes, we have lend boxes, we have resource boxes. So you may have a TC that goes in there and says, hey, I only want to be a TC for this kind of deal, and that kind of deal, right? And it needs to be a decent deal. So
Right.
you'll show up for a TC and you'll be like, okay, cool. We already have people that are getting connected. Like we have a large multifamily deal that was going through our platform and they found their TC through that platform because the TC was on there. And that's the right fit because that TC does have that experience for that deal. So lots of opportunities for people that are, transactional funders, PMLs, that kind of stuff. Really any avatar can get plugged in pretty easily and find some benefit from deal flow or potential vacation.
Now,
Right.
that is what I would call, if I'm correct, your actual product. Am I right?
Yeah, no, so that's the software. Yeah, that's software that I built. And,
Talk
for
a little
me,
bit more about it because initially, when you were talking about this, I wouldn't have thought that I could get a TC there.
well, yeah. No, it's meant to be kind of like the ultimate connector platform, to be honest. But, I don't charge a connection fee. Like it's just pretty simple, at least for the time being. It's only $99 a month, just your subscription. That's it. I'm out of it. I'm not charging anything else. And people could literally just get deal flow and connections from buyers and transaction coordinators and lenders, PML. I mean, you can find all the resources you need on there. And I'm not sitting there charging a 2% connection fee or anything like that. I mean, it's just people connecting on the platform based upon deals that makes sense for them. So that's a core function of the product is having your buy box on there. And instead of your buy box being a JPEG, it's actually programmatically in the software and it's matching up in real time against deals. So if someone has a deal and it's in Texas and my buy box says it's in Indiana, I'm not even going to show up. And I don't want it to show up because it's like, okay, well, you sent me a deal from Texas. Like my buy box, my JPEG over here clearly says I'm not buying deals in that state. And the other guy's like, well, how am I supposed to know it's a JPEG? I'm not going to go and sort through all that. So that's the problem that the platform solves. And it helps people educate. Like I have all my Morby method logic for multifamily, single family, all that kind of stuff. We're doing different asset classes. Like, we're doing different strategies like sub two, co-living, that kind of stuff. It's all going to be kind of thrown in there. So it's a great tool
Good.
to learn how to underwrite as well.
That sounds great.
And tell us about the name of the product so that we don't just call it the product or the platform.
Right.
How is it called?
Right.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm never good at pitching.
also, yes, well, the other thing is we haven't said yet a single time where people can join this. So at this
Yeah.
point, I would like to, if I may, go ahead with my teacher voice and say, everyone, you can find this at underwriting pitch challenge all
There you
together,
go.
no underscores, and get your spelling right. Okay,
And we'll
so
put it
it's
in the description so that people can
we
just
will add it
click
to the
instead of typing it.
description, but right here and now, if they want to bring it up, it's www.underwritingpitchchallenge.com.
Yep.
And I think
No,
that's where you
that'll
have
give
everything.
you. Yeah, it'll give you access to the software, which is it's called buyboxclub.io. That's the name of the website, but it'll all be in that 2-day challenge you could sign up for. And you can just sign up for free account. Like I don't care. I'm not trying to pitch anyone. I'm just trying to bring traction, educate people during that time and give people opportunities to get excited and then learn and get hands on with deals. And that's really the intent of the challenge. So yeah, I mean, feel free to check it out.
That's great. And again, one more time, you named it Buy Box Club.
Yep. Buy Box Club. That's the name of it. Yep. That's the
And
core.
Mundo is obviously on social media. He's got a lot of it. On IG, it's just his name, no dash or no underscore in between, just his name connected. On YouTube, it is with an underscore. So
Yes.
because,
I don't know why. I think it got, I don't know if YouTube did that or I did that or maybe it was taken. I don't know. Maybe it was a YouTube. It wouldn't surprise me if I have a YouTube account I can't get into from 10 years ago or something.
hey, I did that.
Yeah.
I had to teach a lesson on how to open a YouTube account. And I forgot I had, done it 25 years earlier. And I had just placed a picture of a dog up there. I forgot all about it. Then when I joined in real estate with Pace, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I have to go on YouTube. I was like, who would have taken my name? Why is this happening? It took a long time before I realized what it was. By then I had already branded What the Effie. But yeah, that's probably
I love it. I love the branding.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you.
So, Mundo, on the topic of social media, we know that you also have a community where you're sharing more of this information. I believe it's also for free. Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, no, I do a lot of education. A lot of it, the majority of it is free. So it was school community and it's, a lot of training for Morby methods and ongoing. I have calls a couple times a month, just free training, just helping people learn and educate. But the school community has like over 4 hours of free training, kind of start to finish at like a macro level on how to do Morby methods and understanding the steps involved. So by the time someone finishes watching that, they should have a pretty good understanding and be able to like actually pitch that or understand the concept when talking to agents. Obviously, there's a lot involved. So you need to know a lot more than just that. But there's a ton of training that I do, lots of education, because there's lots of bad information out there too. So I try to do my best to combat that and provide information on, how to do it the right way.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And again, as Effie said, as being participants in your mastermind, we can attest that the information is super valuable for us as funders, as buyers. Right, it makes a lot of sense. And thank you once again for distilling it in an easy to digest way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, Mundo is very, very solid in that way, in every way, actually. I have a question, if I may, Mundo.
Yeah.
If a person is coming to your challenge and they're like, I'm just really getting started. I don't know how to underwrite, but I want to learn. So I'm going to go, but I don't really think I can do anything. What do you think is the biggest mindset shift that a newbie has to overcome to be able to actually participate and succeed?
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of just underwriting, talking about that for a second, the software makes it pretty easy. You plug in the numbers. Now, the thing is, you can plug in the numbers, but if you don't understand real estate, you're going to be like, I don't know what I'm looking at, right? So we do have some training videos that we're working on expanding a lot of times, but when you go into buy box matches, it will tell you like buyers and it'll tell you a score for each buyer. So using just deductive reasoning and just common logic, when you look at the matches and you see red, 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 that's a good indication that it's not a good deal. But if you see green, 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 you're seeing a lot of buyers, their feedback from their buy box, and it has an actual score, a percentage score. It tells you it's a good deal. So you don't even really need to understand the information. If you just plug it in and you see if it's red or green, like that's the most basic thing to understand. Okay, there's a lot of people saying this is a good deal. It must be a good deal. Right now, obviously, that's relying on the logic that everyone else is knowing what they're doing with their buy box. But chances are, if you're seeing the whole screen lit up green, it's probably a good deal. But on the other side, if it's all red, it's probably not a good deal. But as far as just mindset, the easiest way to overcome that, I think the mindset problem of a newbie or just someone doing something new in general is like the fear of the unknown. They just don't know what they don't know, and they're afraid that they're going to make huge mistakes that's going to cost them a lot of money. And I've made mistakes that's cost me a lot of money. And
You're not
you
alone.
can, yeah, you can remove that fear just by partnering with someone who has the experience, who's been there and done that. And that is the best way to remove that fear, is just by partnering up with someone who's done it, someone who can shoulder that responsibility and take ownership of that. And that removes that fear of the unknown, because that other person that you're partnering with, like, they have that experience and they know what they're doing. So that's, to me, is the easiest way to get over that. But I really think that people should not use that concept of partnering with people as a crutch for not doing the work yourself and accumulating knowledge. I think everybody needs to learn how to underwrite. I personally think, depending on personality type, for me, maybe this advice doesn't apply to everyone, but me personally, I think everyone should learn to underwrite. That applies to anyone no matter what. I think everyone should learn how to property management, do property management too. I've been hands on my properties, and I'm starting to offload some of that responsibility, but I know how to manage people because I've done it myself. And that's really critical in any of the facets of real estate. I've been a TC. I've done over 100 transactions. I know what the process looks like start to finish. I can effectively manage a TC that I hire. Now, I may not want to do the TC work for my own deal. I'll hire it out. But when something's not getting done, I'm going to know. And if you're completely new and you haven't done the work, I think it's okay at first. But if you don't actually go back and get that experience, it leaves you exposed for other people to take advantage of you. If you don't underwrite, you don't know what a good deal looks like, cool, go partner with someone that does. But what happens when that person leaves, right? Now you don't have that partner. You're also putting some level or a lot of level of faith in that person, and you have to take their word, right? They may make a mistake, or they may be a bad actor. You'd hate to think that, but it leaves you
It
very
happens.
exposed. Yeah, it happens a lot. Unfortunately, I've seen that to people. So it's so critical to just go back and fill in the gaps of whatever you're missing that's important to you. If you're just funding deals as a transactional funder, you may never care about property management. But if you're going to be a buyer, you need to understand it. And I think you should get your hands dirty at least for a couple of months. So that way, how to sign up a tenant, how to produce a lease, the problems, you need to call the utility company, because when your property management is supposed to do that and they don't, you can effectively manage them, right? But if you don't have that information through experience, you don't know what you don't know, stuff's going to get missed and people may take advantage of you. So I always recommend doing that. But those are really, mindset wise, it's the fear of unknown. I think that's the biggest explanation of why people have that mindset. And you can solve all that. Some of it's through partnering, and then on the backside, it's really just through experience.
Yeah, that is awesome. As you were talking about that and about the fear of getting started, I got an idea for your software.
Yeah.
And it actually came when you were talking about the little gangsters. Maybe
I love
one
those little gangsters.
maybe one option that would, like, feature idea, right? Software is my love language. So
Yeah.
my mind immediately goes there. If you could make it such that it's a simulation, right? Like simulate the entire process, without it being an actual live deal, right? I mean, it could be based on real numbers, but you probably know in the trading space and, fantasy football and all that, like they all have simulation equivalents of
Yeah.
doing the actual thing. So for someone who's getting started to go through the steps without actually bumping their heads into, real life struggles, but simulated struggles and increased levels of difficulty, that might be something that can help people get started or overcome that fear. It also becomes more of a game at that point than something that is with actual real life consequences.
Yeah, I would love that. As you know, that's not a easy
Oh
type
yeah,
of
yeah,
experience
yeah,
to build.
yeah, yeah.
No, that would be great to have something like, and to some extent we are doing some of that simulated type of experience because in the challenge, because they're going to be underwriting deals,
Yeah,
that doesn't
exactly.
necessarily mean they've had a conversation with the seller, right? They're
Right.
going to be underwriting what a good deal looks like and sending it to buyers and getting feedback. And then they can go back and take those terms. And in some cases, we may have deals that we've already talked to sellers and have a good idea of what terms will be. But yeah, no, that'd be a good idea to implement something like that that has the guardrails that
Yeah,
can help
exactly.
you learn without getting too deep into a deal.
Yeah, and maybe, going back to what you said in the beginning with AI voice agents and voice calls, like you could have that simulate the conversation, right? Like with the buyer, and then you can plug it in. Here's an aggressive buyer, or here's an
Yeah,
aggressive, here's a title company that doesn't know what creative financing is. How do you deal with that?
yeah,
And here's a fraudulent title company, and you're going to give them your money. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
see
there
what
you
that
go.
looks like. What do you do with that? Yeah, it is interesting to see that we can allow our imaginations to go to where you're suggesting right now as one example, and it not be so far fetched because of how quickly AI is changing and it's growing. And that would be very valuable. You want to learn about real estate? Come on in, sit behind the module and sit behind the monitor and see how much money you're going to lose in your first 6 months with all the different scenarios,
Yeah, and that is not going
and
to be a $99 a month subscription.
no, it wouldn't be. But I do think that if you went through those kind of lessons, you would probably be like, I now know what I have to watch for.
yeah,
Because Mundo and I and you and most of us at this time in life, we're learning the hard way by actually losing our money or lending our money to the wrong person and not getting it back. Anyhow, yeah, it is
yeah.
interesting. It is
No,
interesting to see.
it can be pretty rough. You make some mistakes, you're going to pay for it. So, and it's all part of the experience. It's part of learning. I'm
Yep.
not advocating for people to go out and lose a bunch of money, but
Yeah.
it does harden you and create experience very quickly.
Yes, it does. So I have another question, if I may. If someone gave you, like in our audience, we're going to have many different kinds of people. I'd like to address the person that has a little bit of money, but not much. So if someone were to give you $20,000 tomorrow and say, okay, you can use this for seller financing, so no banks, no traditional loans. And the goal is to turn it into 100,000. What would you do?
Hmm. Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of. Is this a question you ask a lot of your guests? I'm curious now, actually.
Only the ones who I think are capable.
No.
So far it's been
Uh,
0, but I do wonder because, you've got a lot of experience and you're doing, Morbys are known to be very tricky, but
yeah,
that there's different, you have to wait to get there, but, there's different chances with it, different abilities.
yeah. No, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, I would invest in yourself. That's the number one asset anyone can have is investing. Between here, right between your ears, and because you can strip away, all assets, all money, all things, right? But you can't take the knowledge out of your head. And you get dropped in a situation anywhere, and you have that experience. You can find yourself out of that situation depending on what experience you have and what where you've decided to invest in yourself and spend your time. But that's something that sticks around forever, right? As long as you're in good health, obviously. And that is something I would suggest is people spend the money to invest in themselves, learn from the right people, or You could. Well, that would be step one, right? I wouldn't take 20 grand and dump it into a deal, because now you went from 20 grand to zero. Now you don't have anything, right? You're going to have this stuck in a deal for X amount of years. Maybe you might get some small return. Maybe it's 10%. That's not a lot of money when you only have 20 grand, right? So you're not going to get to 100 grand anytime soon. But using and deploying a structure similar to Morby methods, it is a great way that you can get into buying real estate with no money out of your pocket. But what I would do is maybe invest in yourself a little bit, buy some deals as long as you know how to structure it safely. Keep that 20 grand in your bank account. Like I wouldn't even touch it, because you're going to need it in case something happens, HVAC breaks down, something, right? If you end up buying 4 or 5 properties, something will break. So you can either
Sometimes at the
structure it.
same time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes, multiple stuff breaks on the same day and you're just raining in repairs. And I've had that happen many, many, many times. It seems like every other day I have something, I'm just numb to it at this point. It's just like, okay, it just becomes normal course of business that I've been accustomed to a lot of money leaving my bank account to handle repairs and keep up with properties and do all that kind of stuff. But having money sitting there ready to deploy in case something happens, while you continue to buy properties in a way that is, not really using your own money, but you're purchasing properties in a way that is smart. Now, if you're doing these types of deals and you have no excess capital, no ability to pay for anything that breaks down, like that's going to be a bad situation. So the more cash you have, the better. I've been in business for a while, and I own a couple companies, and the companies that I own, there are receivable based businesses. So what that means is when you generate revenue, instead of the customer paying you when money is owed, you think about a restaurant, right? You go to a restaurant, you buy your food, you pay for your food before you leave. Well, you're getting paid at time of service. A receivable based business, you're transacting and providing services to your customer, but the customer is not paying you for 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days. So that becomes really challenging, because when you're losing money, obviously when anyone loses money, you're not going to have cash flow. You're not going to have money, right? It's going to be draining your bank account. But even in a receivable based business, the double whammy there is, even when you're doing really well and you want to double in growth, it's going to drain your cash, because that 30 to 45 days you have to wait, you have to fund all that growth. You have employees you got to pay, you have expenses you got to pay, like for everything to operate the business and to generate that extra growth. You're not only having to pay for the underlying expenses that you have and float that money for 45 days, you have to pay those expenses times 2, because if you doubled in growth, you have doubled the expenses. And so I've seen through real estate and business how much cash is king. So what I would do is I would spend a little bit of money investing myself, getting the knowledge and the resources, and I would park the rest of the cash and just honestly save it. That's probably not the best explanation for someone that is like chasing high yield and, wants to have zero in their bank account always deployed. That's just my advice based on what I've seen and been through. And I just know cash is king. So what I like to do is just try to stockpile as much cash as I can, because you never know when someone comes knocking for HVAC's gone, HVAC's gone, HVAC's gone. It's like, where did my $30,000 go? It can happen real quick. I've had a lot of those, unfortunately. So that's what I would do.
I love your answer.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Really, really good answer. It talks about how, like, an investment strategy, although this is not investment advice,
Yeah.
but also about how would someone get started, right? So very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and based on such depth of experience that you want to listen to this, guys, it would be easy to say something really sexy and really like, go for this, go for that, and that's not what he's saying. And he's
I
not
should
saying it
have
because he's being honest, and he's talking about, based on experience, so that you
yeah,
don't get yourself
I should have
into.
said put it on black. Just put it on black.
There you
I
go.
thought you would say, I have a mobile home park investment opportunity right now where you can get double digits.
There you go.
Just put it in black and let it roll. No, don't do
Let it
that.
roll. Yep. And then don't worry if it's all gone. Like, I hope you don't have little kids to feed, Yeah, I totally get it. All right. So, Raz, any last words or questions?
Well, my question was around how would you advise someone to get started, which again I think you answered. But if you have anything that you would like to add, I think that would be a good one to end on.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the only last parting advice would just be mindset. Life is hard, so choose your hard. It can be hard by lack of inaction. You're going to have a really difficult time providing for your family. Like, this isn't the 90s anymore. You can't, buy a white picket fence house and raise 5 kids. Like, we're in a whole different environment. The cost of living and inflation, like, it's hard to support. You got to make a lot of money to support a family. And you can either live a life of difficulty by not taking action, or you can choose the other path. Either way, it's going to be hard. So if you know life is going to be hard either way, you might as well pick the path that's going to be the best path for you and your family. And sometimes that requires working hard and making sacrifices. And I try to spend as much time as possible with my family, but I don't want to take the other side of the spectrum where it's like so much time that I want to spend with my family to the point where I can't earn for my family, right? Because I have to not think about the present. Now, I'm sure maybe in 5, 10 years, I'll probably just be begging for one more day with my kids. And I know that that's just part of life. I think everyone will probably have that regret at some point. But I try to be as present as I can for my kids, but I can't just think about today. I got to think about the future. I got to set them up for success. I got to give them my whole goal is just to give them a better starting point than I had. I don't want anything handed to them. I just want them to have a better starting point. I don't want them to start from scratch in terms of learning. I want them to start from scratch in terms of earning, but I want to give them the resources for them to be able to create a life that they can truly enjoy. And so that's really my parting thoughts is just life is hard. So you decide which path you want to take. Either way, it's going to be difficult.
Very well
Awesome.
said.
Yeah.
Very
So
well said. Life is hard. Choose your hard. I like it. I like it a lot.
there you go.
Well, all right. So, for all of you, I hope that you will absolutely look into joining Mundo on his underwriting pitch challenge and taking advantage of his buy box club. If you have any interest in creative financing and you're not yet in a paid community or that sort of thing, this man is a really, really good man to follow and to take advantage of he has a lot of free educational material out there. And Mundo, I say thank you. Thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank
you. Thank you very much. I can
You
check
wanna
this off my bucket list now. I've been wanting to come on the show for a while, so I
Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. But once you've come once, you have to come again.
There you go. I love it.
All right. Okay, everyone, we shall see you next week. Enjoy. And, I look forward to seeing what happens. Thank you, Mundo.
Take care,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks for having me.